Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern. I'm a certified G and a bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. And this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are talking NFL divisions, conferences, Super Bowls, and we both have great picks for you today, and you can't teach that. Bada boom. Subscribe to the only podcast that you care about in the room. G Money Grant Mitchell, how you doing?
Doing awesome, Tanner. We are recording a day ahead of schedule yet again, but you know what, Tanner? What do you always say? The people don't want the picks.
The people need the picks, and it's still coming out Wednesday too, so it's no big deal. But we are recording on Tuesday, so we're here early. We show up early for the people. We might record from Tuesday all the way into Wednesday just because we care about the people so much. And if you can't press the subscribe button, you have an issue. Stop watching right now if you don't want to press the subscribe button because it's not that hard.
Not that hard, never been that hard. Although, Tanner, it's not that hard to make these NFL picks either. We have been crushing the baseball picks, and of course, we are taking it over to the gridiron. Hope you all are enjoying the All-Star festivities in the baseball world, but because it's the All-Star break, we got no games to talk about. So this is now the official WSN Ride the Line NFL playoff predictions. We're going to go through all of the conferences, all two of them, give you our winners from each division, our wild card picks, our champions of each conference, and then our Super Bowl matchup and Super Bowl winner. And we're going to start it off in the AFC West because that is the land of the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. And they are my pick to win this division once again. They have won the division, I believe, 7 years in a row now. They've made the AFC Championship game in 5 straight seasons, which is all 5 seasons Patrick Mahomes has been a starter. We're in this situation where even if you think another team's going to win, it's always going to be an upset. The smart pick is always on the Chiefs. I'm sticking with them.
Yeah, this isn't rocket science. Never been rocket science. The people don't want the Chiefs. The people need the Chiefs. And Patrick Mahomes is by far the best football player in the league. The Chargers scare me a little bit. The Raiders are going to be absolute dog water. I think the Broncos are going to be better, but they're not on the level of the reigning, defending, undisputed champions of the world, the Kansas City Chiefs. Did
you see that Chiefsaholic, the Chiefs super fan, the one that robbed the bank for however many hundreds of thousands of dollars? They found him. He's been on the run and they got him.
Do you see it? So he would go rob the bank. It wasn't just the Oklahoma bank. I saw a map. He robbed like a ton of them. And then he would go bet on the Chiefs at like minus 800 every weekend and like hope to just like, that's how he would like run the money off. He'd exchange at the casino for chips and then go back and bet on the Chiefs. So like the traces would be gone. But yeah, I mean, good. Hey, smart man. I mean, like it seemed like a foolproof scheme, but it wasn't obviously, but he had a good run just like the Chiefs.
I mean, I've watched Breaking Bad, Ozark. I'm not exactly an expert criminal, but I feel like I do a better job laundering the money of robbing a bank and then immediately going and betting on it in a casino. I feel like they might be able to track that down. Chiefs are going to win the West. I mean, it would take something completely devastating and unforgettable for them not to. In the AFC North, this is the land of the challengers, the Chiefs' top challengers, but also maybe the toughest top to bottom division in the NFL. I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals. Tanner, what do you have?
Bengals all the way. This is simple for me. The Cleveland Browns, I'm afraid of Deshaun Watson. I don't think we're ever going to see Houston Texans Deshaun Watson again. The Pittsburgh Steelers, very good on defense. I don't think they have the offense to win this division, though. The Baltimore Ravens, they're going to have some issues. Todd Monken, new offensive coordinator. I think it's going to take Lamar a little time. And then their receiving core, it's good. Don't get me wrong. They have weapons, but you're counting on OBJ who's coming off an ACL. You're counting on a rookie out of Boston College named Zay Flowers. It's Joe Burrow. This division is all about Joe Burrow, and it will be for a long time because he's that guy.
And the Bengals start their season off in week 1 against the Browns. And I believe they've lost the last 6 matchups to the Browns. So that would certainly be a nice way for them to start their season with a win. In the AFC East, if the AFC North isn't the toughest division, it's probably the AFC East. And I feel like this is very congested. You and I have both talked about in previous episodes where we were doing the individual division previews that we believe the Bills aren't going to achieve the same success as they have in years past. They lost Tremaine Edmonds. The Stephon Diggs chemistry is going downhill. Josh Allen started to unravel a little bit in the last half of last season. I still have the Bills winning the division, but I think they're going to get it done with something like a 10-7, maybe an 11-6 record.
Yeah, I don't think the Jets are going to be as good as people think. The Patriots will be slightly better than people think. The Dolphins are going to be tough if Tua can stay healthy. When you look at the Buffalo Bills, though, they're like the Cowboys of the AFC. That's kind of my new name for them. They're going to lose in the playoffs. I think that's a good comparison. They're going to be really good during the regular season and find a way to lose in the postseason. I don't think Josh Allen's a playoff kind of quarterback. He loves turning the football over. It's going to hurt him, but they're going to win the division.
I actually like that comparison a lot. I definitely think this AFC East, I think it's going to be a situation where you're going to have teams like 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins, 11 wins. Like, and then my order, I don't want to give away the whole order. I've got the Bills at the top, I've got the Patriots at the bottom, and then one of those other teams making the wild card. We'll talk about them in a second. In the AFC South, this is probably the easiest division to win. Should belong to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Won 6 of their last 7 or 7 of their last 8 last season. I can't remember which one, but completely turned it around in the back half of the season. Trevor Lawrence took off, firmly entered that top 10 quarterback conversation. It's about, can he become top 5? Doug Peterson been to and won a Super Bowl. The defense, long and athletic and still young. They make plays, and they're going against Will Levis most likely. At some point, Levis is going to take over. Who else?
Richardson.
Anthony Richardson. I was forgetting his name. And then CJ Stroud. So 3 rookie quarterbacks. The Jaguars should have a control of this division.
Yeah, there's a sneaky chance that the Jaguars have the best record in football this year, just because they have the ability to clean up in their division. They have a lot of tough out-of-conference games against teams like the Chiefs, but there's a chance they clean up in the division and make a push for the best record in football. So that could be a little sneaky sprinkle bet.
That is I definitely do like that, and I've thought about that because normally when you think about it, which team's gonna have the best record, you just default to the Chiefs. If it's not the Chiefs, you look at the Bengals and you look at the Jags. I think now the Bengals are in a significantly tougher division, so that would be harder, but they're also probably better than the Jaguars are. But think about it, only one team gets a bye now in the playoffs. So if you can get that 1 seed, and you obviously set yourself up for an easier run through the playoffs as well, could be super important in an AFC that is extremely crowded.
Yep, totally agree with that, Grant. On to the NFC.
NFC, where do you want to start this? What division are we going with?
You were hosting, so I figured you would start it. You pick.
Okay, well, we started in the AFC West last time, so let's start in the NFC West here. And I'll kick us off because I've got a little bit of an upset, maybe a lot of an upset, depending on how you look at it. I have the Seattle Seahawks winning this division. Now, I will say I think the Niners and the Seahawks are going to be right within a game of one another. I think it's going to be super close. Whichever team doesn't win the division, I still have them going to the wild card. And I'm not trying to disrespect the Niners at all. I feel like they do have maybe the best top to bottom roster in the NFL. What I'm worried about is, first of all, the Niners have just enjoyed dominance over the Seahawks. They were 2-0 against them last year. That was a big part of why the Seahawks weren't able to truly challenge for it. If the Seahawks are able to split or even win both of those games, their chances to win vault significantly. And then also the quarterback situation. I am worried that Brock Purdy impressed last year. I don't want to take that away from him, but he was Mr. Irrelevant for a reason, right? A lot of times the draft isn't necessarily, as funny as it sounds, it's not necessarily about what you put on tape. It's about the potential you have. For Purdy to have been the last pick of the draft, it means that all the scouts and everybody, the analysts, thought he didn't have the greatest arm talent in the world. Now he's coming off of a season-ending arm injury, granted last game of the season, but still he's out for 4, 5, 6 months. A major injury to his throwing arm, needed surgery for it. And his backup is a guy that was the 3rd overall pick in the draft. Niners traded 3 first-round picks to get him, and he's behind Sam Darnold in the depth chart right now, which of course leads us to Darnold. If Purdy gets injured and they opt not to go with Lance, are we really trusting Sam Darnold to get us on a team to 13, 14 wins? I don't think so. So I think the Niners are one little quarterback mishap away from dropping this title, and the Seahawks, they're going up. I love what the additions they made in the draft. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Devin Witherspoon. They brought back Bobby Wagner. I like the Seahawks to pull the upset here.
Grant, that's a preposterous take. That's the Seahawks absolutely suck on defense. They are not good on defense. Will they be better? Probably. It won't be close to the 49ers. San Francisco's quarterback situation, I could play quarterback for the 49ers and they could win football games, honestly. That's how Kyle Shanahan calls his offense, right? So if you look at like Sam Darnold, he's probably the best passer they've had there in a while. All he has to do is hand the ball off and make a few throws and play action. That's a preposterous take. Geno Smith, just because Geno Smith has one half decent season, we're saying he's a starting quarterback. He threw for like 190 yards most of the time per game last season. He ain't that
Here's
guy.
the thing, though, Tanner. You got to keep in mind something unexpected happens every year. There's a team that wins the division every year that nobody saw coming, and there's usually 2, 3, 4 teams that make the playoffs that nobody would have predicted. So you've got to pick your spots somewhere. This just happened to be the spot that I chose.
Okay, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I hate it.
All
I'd
right, and
rather
I know you're probably not going to like my next pick either. So you go first. But let's go to the NFC North. Who do you have winning the NFC North?
the Detroit Lions, obviously. I mean, this is a division where I could see. I know what your take's about to be here, so I'll dispute it after this. But this is division where it's more wide open than people think. And the Minnesota Vikings were 13-4 last season. Now they're picked second in the division. The Detroit Lions are 9-8. I like the Detroit Lions, but hell, the Green Bay Packers could be okay too. You know, like if Jordan Love figures out a quarterback, which we have no clue what we're getting out of Jordan Love, people are just automatically low on him. But I think the Lions here, Dan Campbell's culture is continuing to roll over. They keep getting first-round picks, good first-round productive picks like Aiden Hutchinson, very good on the defensive front. Jared Goff rose to the occasion last season. They work well in the run game and the passing game. This is it's Detroit Lions for me.
So I do respect the Lions, but I also feel like they've been being looked at too favorably by the betting public and the odds makers alike. There have been no expectations in Detroit. This is the first time in however many years that there actually are. We have no idea if they're going to be able to withstand that. Also, you want to talk about the Seahawks defense being bad. The Lions was one of the worst I've ever seen, which also takes us over to the Vikings, who are equally as bad. I believe their pass defense was even worse. And despite them going 13-4, they had a negative point differential. They're also like 7-1, 8-1, 8-0 in one score games. There's going to be some regression to the mean. They're going to take a step back. The Packers, I'm with you. I think the Packers have a very nice spread of talent that people aren't really talking about. Everybody's lost in the fact that Aaron Rodgers left, but you got to remember Rodgers was 27th in quarterback rating last year. Are they going to miss him as much as maybe people are making it out to be? I don't know. They're like one average Jordan Love season away from going 7-10, 8-9, which would be a decent year for a rebuilding year. The team I'm picking to win this division, this has been my favorite pick throughout the entire offseason, is the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields was simply the most electric player in football last year. The Bears had the worst passing attack in the league last year. I understand that. You know what? Part of the reason was they gave up the joint most sacks in the league. They draft Darnell Wright with the 10th overall pick, add him to the offensive line. You don't have anybody to throw to. Well, guess what? We're trading for DJ Moore, a standout number one from the Carolina Panthers. The defensive side of the football, we don't have athletes in the middle of it all. We lost Roquan Smith. Well, we're going to go out and sign Tremaine Edmonds. We're going to put him next to TJ Edwards. We're going to beef up the front line. I think this is probably the most winnable division in terms of, I said the Jaguars had the easiest route to a victory, but in terms of the most wide open division, I feel like it's this one. I feel like this is where another upset comes. I'm taking the Bears.
Grant, the Bears were 3-14 last season. They had a minus 137 point differential, minus 137. They were 1-11 in the NFC. They did not win a division game against a dog water division. And you're telling me this would be like the greatest turnaround in NFL history if they won like 6 games, let alone a division. All right.
You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like to me that you are not riding, Tanner. It sounds like you're not riding. Why would you not want to ride on the greatest upset train in the history of football? Those were your words, and it's going to happen. So why would you not want to be a part of that?
Because Chase Claypool is their number 2 receiver, and he's dog water. This team's not good, Grant. This is do not roll a disclaimer on the bottom. This is not a good pick. Like this is just not. There's no backing to this pick. They had a minus 137 point differential last season.
There's so much backing. Like my favorite pick for the Bears, I do think they have a better year than most. I think their line's at 6.5 wins. That would be the favorite pick. You can get them to make the playoffs, whether it's the wild card or the division, for about plus 170, plus 180. Obviously, I love that. This is the riskiest of those options, but I do think, like I said, it's wide open. I'm going for it. I don't care what you say. NFC East, Tanner, why don't you take the pick here?
The Eagles. This isn't even close. Dallas Cowboys are good. They're not great because of Dak Prescott. The Cowboys just can't struggle. They struggle to win the big game. The Philadelphia Eagles have the culture. They have Jalen Hurts, who made 200 and something million in the offseason, right? And he just doesn't care. Like he just wants to play football. So that's the kind of mentality that I want right there. Money's nice. Rings are more important.
So in this division, this is a very interesting division. There's almost the NFC East is almost legendary because no team has won the division in consecutive seasons since 2003, 2004. It's just like an urban legend that nobody's ever going to win it 2 years in a row. Obviously, the Eagles did win it last year. Now, is that sound advice to the betting public? No, it's not. I'm just throwing it out there because it's a little interesting. What is sound advice? Is I'm not saying this pick is sound, I'm mixing up my words here. I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys. That's where I'm going with this. I think the Cowboys are going to win the division. The reason that I am not out on the Eagles, but I don't think it's going to be the same miracle season it was last year, is Jalen Hurts far and away, not even remotely close, played his best year of football of his life last season. The offense completely took off. You lose coordinators on both sides of the football. That's a pretty big deal. You lose Javon Hargrave on the front line. Of course, you bring in Jalen Carter, and as much impact as you're expecting him to have, it is all expected. He is still a rookie, totally unproven commodity. Also had those off-field issues. We don't know if that's an actual character issue or just an isolated incident. We're going to have to wait to find out there. You lost some other pieces of that defense. Granted, you bring back the big names like the Darius Slays and all that, but still there was turnover, especially in the coaching staff. Hurts, you're expecting him to be MVP level player, whereas his first year in the league, he wasn't that type of guy. We don't know. The Cowboys, they don't win the big game, to your point, and I would never argue that. I mean, unfortunately, I hate to reveal this, but I am a Commanders fan, so we don't win the big game either. But if there's one thing I know from watching the Cowboys, it's that they win all the easy games and lose the big games. But this isn't the playoffs. This is the regular season. Can you get to 12 wins, 13 wins? I do think they can do it. So I'll take the Cowboys in the division.
The Commies don't win any games, Grant. Not just they don't win anything. All right, I don't mind that pick. It's going to go either way. It's Eagles or Cowboys. Or what are we on, the NFC South now? We've gone through them all.
Yeah, it's the last division, NFC South.
It's going to be a bad division. I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints to win this division. It pains me to do it because I want to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I genuinely, I know I like the Buccaneers, but I genuinely in my heart of hearts believe that the Buccaneers are not as far off in this division as people think. I think this is just a dog water division overall. I think the Saints are leaps and bounds better than everyone, but those bottom three teams, there is not that much difference between them.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Saints as well. I don't think I feel like the Saints have a wide range of outcomes. I could see them winning 11 games just because of how bad the division is. I could see them winning 6 games and missing the playoffs. I don't have long-term faith in them. I don't think they're going to win a playoff game, but I do think they are going to win that division. Okay, let's throw it back to the AFC here. Now let's go with our 3 wild card picks. Do you want to do one at a time or you just want to go all 3?
Name all 3. Rip them off.
All right, I will go first. I like the Baltimore Ravens. If there's one thing they do in Baltimore, it's win regular season games. Ever since they drafted Lamar, if you include the games, only the games where he's played, they win about 12 games out of every 17, which obviously would put them on pace to win 12 in the regular season. Very tough division, so I could see them not hitting that total, but they're going to be good. The Pittsburgh Steelers are my second wild card team, and that gives me 3 playoff teams from the AFC North. I know that Kenny Pickett wasn't that impressive, but Mike Tomlin made him look pretty decent. Even with that being the fact, they still managed to avoid a losing record last year. Defense, in my opinion, this is another storyline I don't think people are picking up on. I think the Steelers have a top 3 defense in football, and if that is the case, you can get yourself to a 9-8, a 10-7 record. So I think they'll sneak in. And then the Miami Dolphins are my final team. Now, this is totally contingent upon Tua staying healthy. We saw how explosive the offense was when he was in there. But you got to remember, even when he went out, Skylar Thompson left South Beach, went on the road to the snow of Buffalo, New York, and was only 3 points away from ousting Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. They traded for Jalen Ramsey. They traded for Bradley Chubb last year. They've got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Mike McDaniel was super impressive as a play caller and a head coach. So, yeah, I like the Dolphins to get there, which means I have the Jets missing the playoffs, and I feel pretty great about that.
Yeah, I don't think the Jets get in the playoffs. My 3, Miami Dolphins, Baltimore Ravens, so we're aligned there. I don't hate the Steelers pick. I don't love the Steelers pick. It's really hard to bet on a quarterback that wears gloves on both hands. It's just hard. I can't do that. So I'm not going to do that, but I do agree the defense is good. I'm going to go, this is actually a pick. This is just in, Grant. This wasn't on my original pick. We're shifting things up a little bit. The Denver Broncos sneak in as a wild card team. Defensively, they're that good. Russell Wilson last year, he was fat, he was out of shape, he was injured, he didn't share his phone number with his teammates. That was a problem. Now Sean Payton's in the building. He's going to make him do that. He's an offensive guru. They have a lot of offensive talent. They have a lot of defensive talent. There's no reason this team can't sneak up into the playoffs. I'm going with Sean Payton, win coach of the year. That means one thing. They got to make the wild card and get into the playoffs. So that's my pick for my third wild card team.
I don't hate it. I'm not picking it, but I do think the Broncos are going to win minimum 8 games. I could see it happening, to be totally honest. NFC wild cards here. I said I had the Seahawks winning that division. Obviously, that means I have the 49ers taking the wild card again. I think they're going to be within a game of each other. So whichever one wins, the other one's going to make the wild card. Second team, the Philadelphia Eagles. I said I see them taking a minor step back, but they're not falling off a cliff. They'll still be there. And then this is the toughest one for me of all the picks to make, the final NFC wildcard spot. I think there could easily be a wild card team that gets in at 8-9, maybe 9-8. But I don't think there's a lot of great teams in the NFC. I think you're looking at the Giants, the Vikings, the Lions, even the Packers, the Falcons, the Panthers. I'm love the Commanders. I think 8 wins would be quite a successful season for us. I don't see them getting in. I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers, and to be honest, most of it is just based off strength of schedule stuff. I believe they're top 7 in strength of schedule, maybe top 5. I looked at their schedule earlier. It just wasn't that tough. They can beat up on the Falcons. They can split with the Saints. You're high on the Bucks. I'm not. I think they could sweep the Bucks. That alone would give them 4 or 5 wins right there. You just got to win 4 out of division games. I think they could do that. So very iffy on this final wild card spot, but I'm taking the Panthers.
I like it. I don't hate it. I don't want to trust a rookie quarterback. Yeah, that's my thing, but I don't hate it. I'll go with the Dallas Cowboys, number 1 wild card spot. I'll take the Seattle Seahawks in the number 2 wild card spot, and then I'll take the Minnesota Vikings in the 3rd. I don't think they're going to be 13-4 again. Like you said, they won every single close game that they were in. Like when they got in the playoffs, obviously that didn't work out for them, right? So there's only so many times that you can come in and win those super close games, right? Eventually, when a team's down on one knee, you got to be able to put them away in the NFL, and they were unable to do that consistently. So I think we're going to see them get in with like a 10-7 record, but I do think they get in.
Okay, and now who is your AFC champion?
AFC champion, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Great offensive line, great receiving core, solid defense, strong head coach. They're playing for Harambe?
Yeah, do it for Harambe.
Do it for Harambe. They're doing it for Harambe. Harambe, the sweet prince will be right around the Bengals stadium come playoff time. They'll be good to go.
Can't argue against that. They've made the AFC Championship game in both of the years Burrow's been healthy. Obviously made the Super Bowl one of those years. If there's a year, this is certainly like the year where the Bengals are supposed to, finally get past the Chiefs, get to the Super Bowl, and win the Super Bowl. They had the opportunity. They didn't do that 2 years ago. I'm still going to stick with the Chiefs. It's the easy answer. It's the cop-out answer, but it's like that for a reason. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got Andy Reid. They proved that they just won the Super Bowl in a rebuilding year. Like they didn't have any real receivers. Their defense, I think they gave the 3rd or 4th most snaps to rookies of any team in the league. They're going to be better and more experienced. I'm going to stick with the Chiefs. That's the easy answer. NFC champion now.
Wait. You said that Joe Burrow, this is the year they get by the Chiefs. Like Burrow owns Mahomes. Like
it should be the year. It should be the year.
But he already kind of owns them. So like when you look at it, like even the record, Mahomes' record against Burrow is terrible. I think
it's 1-3, and Mahomes has had a better quarterback rating than Burrow in every game they've had. So let's slow down there.
But that last game, the Chiefs shouldn't even won that last game. The refs wanted them to win. Well, I will say this: that penalty was a penalty. But if they don't have that penalty, the Bengals win the game.
Okay, but then I'll just go back to the quarterback rating. Burrow does not own Mahomes. The Bengals have owned the Chiefs maybe, but Mahomes is still the best player in the league, and he's outplayed Burrow every time they've met.
But Burrow has won.
The Bengals have won. There are 22 guys on offense and defense. You have some special teamers.
Burrow had stadium. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, what did Travis Kelce say? Burrow had my ass. Yeah, take that Lombardi. Let's see one get a Cincinnati.
Joe Shiesty is not going to take that one. Joe Shiesty is going to walk into Arrowhead this year and whoop their ass in the postseason.
I love the Bengals. I would love to see them win. I love Joe Burrow, but it's the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs or nothing. NFC side of things, I know I took the Seahawks to win the division, but to your point, what you were talking about, Geno Smith, the defensive concerns. Are we going to trust the Seahawks that much? In the regular season, I do. I think the San Francisco 49ers get back to the Super Bowl. And even with the quarterback problems, I think it could be a Purdy situation, right? Where who did Trey Lance start the year? Or was it Jimmy G? Trey Lance started week 1, right? So Trey Lance goes out, Jimmy G goes out, they settle on Brock Purdy, and by the end of the season, it's like he was their quarterback one the whole time. I think if you give them 2 weeks, 2 months, maybe even a month of football, find that guy, even if it is Sam Darnold or whoever it is, because Kyle Shanahan is such a good coach, because the team is so well built, they find some consistency, they make a run through the NFC. And also, I just do not trust really any of these other teams in the NFC. That's the biggest thing. The 49ers, even if they do have quarterback problems, you can just trust them because they've been there, done that.
Yeah, the Eagles whooped the 49ers in the NFC Championship game last year, but I still go back to like the Devontae Smith. You remember the ball that they called a catch that was actually a drop. I go back to that moment because if they get off the field there, it's a different game. And then if Brock Purdy doesn't tear his UCL, that's a different game too. Like they couldn't throw the ball. They were physically dominated because they had nothing else they could give. So I do think all things equal, if we go back to that Devontae Smith catch and they throw the challenge flag and Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt, the Niners do win that football game. So I'm on the Niners this year.
So we both got the Niners in the NFC. Yeah. You got it's you have Bengals, Niners, I have Chiefs, Niners, correct?
Yeah, Bengals win the Super Bowl.
You're taking the Bengals to win it all. Okay. I mean, that means we have 2 AFC winners because I'm going with the Chiefs to win it all. I think Mahomes gets his 3rd ring in 6 years, gets maybe inarguably the best start in NFL history.
Yeah. Well, he's still not going to be as good as Tom Brady. So
he's already better than him. He's just less accomplished.
That's so not true. No, Tom
Brady's less accomplished, but he's better.
He should be better. He was a 1st-round draft pick. Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft pick.
Okay, he should be better, and he is better. He's less accomplished, but he is better.
Well, in the end of the day, it's all about accomplishment. It's just like Joe Burrow beating Mahomes. Like they said, Mahomes couldn't beat Joe Burrow going into this game.
No, I agree. Like if I'm ranking all-time quarterbacks, of course I have Brady ahead of Mahomes. I'm just saying, as it stands, Mahomes will catch him. He's just got to actually do it.
No, he won't. No, he won't.
Look, we can argue about this all day long.
Mahomes won't go to 10 Super Bowls and win 7 of them. I don't think.
But if he wins, Brady has 6 in New England, 1 in Tampa Bay. If Mahomes gets 5 and he's also ahead in all the other numbers, maybe wins more MVPs, then like it's a real conversation to have. Like NFL is very much a team game at the end of the day. Like it's not in the NBA. It's so much star driven that, your star plays offense and defense, and they play like 42 of the 48 minutes. In the NFL, your star player's on the field for half of the game and he has 21 other teammates out there. Like it's more of a team win than an individual win.
I agree. All right, Grant, that's the show. Good one.
That's the show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. Leave us comments. Let us know who has the better picks, Grant or Tanner. Tell us your Super Bowl matchup. And Tanner, get us out of here.
That was Ride the Line, the greatest show in sports betting entertainment. We will see you on Friday for another episode. Smash the subscribe button. Joe Burrow.